The first time Princess Calith of Virex saw a human, the entire Hall of Stars fell silent, not because of ceremony, but because she stopped breathing. The Hall of Stars was the most sacred chamber on the planet Virex Prime, a place where galaxies were mapped in living light and where no decision was ever made impulsively. Every ruler of Virex had learned restraint as a survival instinct. Their species lived for centuries. They planned wars decades in advance. Love itself was studied, regulated, and paired by genetic councils. Calith had been raised to be perfect within that system. She stood now at the edge of a circular platform, her silver-blue skin catching the glow of rotating constellations. Her elongated eyes, black at the center, rimmed with faint starlight, were trained on the delegation below. She had attended hundreds of such gatherings. Traders, ambassadors, war envoys, but never humans. They are fragile, her tutor had once said. They are emotional, the council had agreed. They will burn themselves out in a few thousand years, historians had predicted. Calith believed all of it, until the doors opened. The human delegation entered cautiously, escorted by Virexian guards twice their height. There were 3 of them, dressed in dark uniforms marked with a symbol Calith had studied only in archives. Earth's insignia. Her gaze passed over the first 2, without interest. Then she saw him. He wasn't the tallest. He wasn't the loudest. He wasn't even the leader. But when his eyes lifted, brown, unshielded, unmodified, and met hers, something ancient and forbidden shifted inside her. Not curiosity. Not fascination. Recognition. Calith's heart stuttered. For a fraction of a second, the living constellations behind her flickered. A murmur rippled through the council chamber as energy sensors registered a spike in her neural field. She didn't hear them. She heard only the echo of a feeling she had never been taught to name. The choice that wasn't supposed to exist. His name was Eli Mercer, a cultural liaison from Earth. He had been chosen precisely because he was ordinary. Humans believed this would make him less threatening. They were wrong. Calith watched him as negotiations began. He listened more than he spoke. When Virexian counselors argued over trade routes and military access, Eli observed, not with fear, but with something close to empathy. When a counselor spoke sharply, Eli didn't flinch. When silence stretched too long, he didn't rush to fill it. And when Calith spoke for the first time, offering a ceremonial greeting in flawless human standard, Eli's eyes widened, not in arrogance, but in genuine surprise. "You learned our language," he said softly. Calith inclined her head. "I study all civilizations that enter Virexian space." "Then," Eli replied, almost smiling, "you know we're terrible at hiding what we feel." Calith should have looked away. Instead, she leaned forward. In that moment, measured later as exactly 1.7 seconds, Princess Calith made a decision that no Virexian ruler had made in 10,000 years. She chose the weight of instinct. Virexians did not believe in love at first sight. They believed in resonance, a rare neurological alignment that occurred once or twice in a generation. When it happened, the individuals involved were separated, studied, and often prevented from bonding. Resonance made rulers unpredictable. Calith felt it instantly. That night, alone in her chamber, she pressed her palm against the star-glass window and replayed the memory of Eli's voice. The warmth in it. The lack of calculation. Her personal AI activated, sensing distress. "Princess," it said gently, "your neural patterns indicate a resonance event." Calith closed her eyes. "With a human," the AI continued, "this is statistically catastrophic." "I know," she whispered. Virexian law was clear. No royal bond with a non-Virexian species. especially not one as volatile as humanity. Yet the thought of Eli returning to Earth, never seeing him again, sent a sharp ache through her chest that no logic could dull. For the first time in her long, sheltered life, Caliph wondered, what if the Council is wrong? A human's gravity. Eli felt it too, though he lacked the language to describe it. He had trained for alien diplomacy. He had expected fear, awe, maybe discomfort. He had not expected to feel pulled toward a being who looked like living starlight. When Caliph requested a private cultural exchange, an unprecedented honor, Eli nearly declined out of caution. But something in her gaze told him this was more than protocol. They walked through the gardens of memory, where Virexians stored recorded emotions as floating light. Caliph explained their history. Eli spoke of Earth, of short lives and long stories, of love that burned fast because time was limited. You feel everything intensely, Caliph observed. We have to, Eli said. We don't get centuries to decide who matters. She stopped walking. That, she said quietly, may be your species' greatest strength. Eli met her eyes. And what about you? Caliph hesitated, then did something reckless. She reached out and touched his hand. The gardens exploded with light. Every memory sphere resonated at once, reacting to the unshielded emotional surge. Alarms rang across the palace. And in that instant, there was no doubt left. The council felt it too. The price of defiance. Caliph was summoned before the High Council at dawn. They spoke of danger, of precedent, of war. Humans destabilize systems, one elder warned. Your bond could fracture alliances, said another. You are heir to Virex, the High Speaker intoned. You cannot choose this. Caliph stood taller than she ever had. I already did. Silence followed, heavy and shocked. Eli was confined to the human quarters, unaware of the full storm brewing around him. When Caliph arrived unannounced, guards scrambling behind her, he knew something had changed. They're going to send me away, he said. Yes, she replied honestly. And you? I am going with you. Eli laughed softly, thinking it was a joke, until he saw her expression. You'd give up your throne? He asked. Caliph's voice did not waver. I would give up immortality if it meant choosing freely. The ending, a choice that changed the stars. The council expected resistance. They did not expect renunciation. Before the gathered leaders of Virex, Caliph removed her royal crest, an act that automatically dissolved her claim to the throne. Gasps echoed through the chamber. I was born to rule, she said calmly, but I was never meant to rule without choice. She turned toward the human delegation. I choose the unknown, she continued. I choose a life not measured in centuries, but in meaning. Eli stepped forward, voice unsteady. You don't know how short our lives are. Caliph smiled, soft, luminous, real. That is why each moment matters. The galaxy watched as an alien princess walked away from a destiny written in stars and toward a human who had nothing to offer her but honesty, vulnerability, and time that would one day end. Years later, historians would argue whether that moment weakened Virex or saved it, because what followed was unprecedented. Human-Virexian cooperation flourished. Emotional transparency reshaped diplomacy. Wars were avoided, not through fear, but understanding. And somewhere on a quiet world between stars, Caliph and Eli built a life that burned brightly and briefly by Virexian standards. When Eli grew old, Caliph did not regret her choice. She held his hand, just as she had the first day, and understood something her people never had. A shorter life chosen freely can outshine an eternity without choice. And when the stars recorded the moment of her decision, they marked it simply as, The day the galaxy learned that love does not wait to be logical.